What one should we start with? I'm gonna let you guys decide. From the ones that you can see in the bottom there, what ones do you want me to rank first? We don't have to go in order here. This will be fun. Sekiro? All right, Sekiro. Peak. Love this game. Love this game. Played it through twice. Second time I played through on the hard mode, Demon Bell, parry only. It may not be for everybody. It is, I would say, a different Souls-like that requires you to play by its rules of basically constant aggression, and you cannot be a coward. It punishes you harsh. But the combat system, once you've played Sekiro's combat, and if it clicks, you don't enjoy combat in any other game. It just has ruined so many other combat games for me in a good way. It's just so freaking good. I enjoy the story, although I think the story does have a couple of flaws. I think that'd be a couple of my complaints. Things like the dragon rot, things just doesn't really seem to go anywhere. I don't think the onboarding for the game is very good. It doesn't really explain itself all that well because, Souls-like, they're just terrible at that. But if you get hooked, I like the story. I love the Japanese voice acting. The boss design is great. It's just very enjoyable. The aesthetics is beautiful. It's just amazing. I love this game. This was the one that my brother-in-law gifted to me for Christmas, and it's probably a large part of the reason why I was willing to branch out more, because I did not see myself as being somebody that would enjoy most games, and certainly not the whole Dark Souls genre, and I was just hooked. What Remains of Edith Finch? I'd say very good. Very good story about trauma and family curses. I won't spoil anything about the game. It's not exactly a game. It's a very short play. I'd say probably 4 hours, most likely. I don't know that I'd play it again, so I'm tempted to drop it below, but I don't really have any issues with it. It does exactly what it's supposed to do, and I did really enjoy doing it. And I like the soundtrack, too. So give it a shot if you like story games. Enjoyable. KOTOR 2. Amazing but flawed. Really like the story of this game. Really love the nuance. This is what the sequels strived and failed to be. This is what the new Star Wars sequels tried to do and failed miserably, which was to, what's the term? Subvert, right. It subverts Star Wars in so many excellent and thoughtful and well thought out ways. The whole Jedi, the good, the light side, and the dark side. Basically, it has a strong moral stance, but it proves that a lot of the Jedi Order does not behave morally, basically. And I won't spoil too much more than that. Has a couple of my favorite characters in all of gaming, including one who's probably my top 2 or 3 characters in all of gaming. There's so many good things to say about this. Now, the reason why it's flawed is because it's turn-based combat, kind of, sort of. You don't play this game for the combat. The combat's tolerable because there's a lot of build variety, which is cool. But the story is just so freaking good. And you definitely need to there's like a bug-fixed version on Steam. You'll have to look into it if you ever want to play it. Don't play the base version. Play the bug-fixed version. I had 0 issues playing with the bug-fixed version, but I think if you play the original version, some of it's kind of, there's some issues with it. Yeah, without the mod, exactly. That's why I'm putting it here. But with the mod, which I played, which is pretty easy. I'm not a computer guy, but I was able to figure out no problem. It's great. Love this. Knights of the Old Republic 1. Probably a more cohesive game and certainly less buggy if you're playing without the mod, but I think story-wise definitely a big step down. And obviously, it's the main reason why you would play this. Now, if you do enjoy this, the way that I'm describing the game, you need to play this one first. You need to play this one first. Because it's really good. It is very good, and I absolutely would play it again. The story is good. It's not as good as KOTOR 2, but it's very, very good. Big twist, obviously. No spoilers, but there's a huge, very famous twist in this game. Great game. You want me to do Bioshock next? Oh, man, you're not going to like this one. Ooh. Okay, I'm going to start here. And I'm actually going to do it in order here. Top of very good. Top of very good. I think this game is just not a great game. It's fine. It's just not a great game from a game perspective. I think it shows its age a lot more than some of the even older games. It, story-wise, very interesting. Falls off a lot towards the end, but very, very good. Aesthetic, amazing. I am a sucker for retro, post-apocalyptic, 1950s. I could literally just sit in Bioshock and listen to the voice lines. Again, I'm not going to spoil anything. The voice lines, the atmospheric sounds and calls and recordings. The atmosphere is so good in this game. It just nails it perfectly. Yeah, the gameplay is just not great towards the end. There's just a lot of moving parts, and it's really easy to feel either A or one, just completely ineffective no matter what you do, but then also like you're never really in any danger of failing either. And I played it on a hard difficulty. It's like there's a lot of like weapon variety, but you end up really kind of using the same crud. Yeah, the twist did get me. It did. The combat mechanics really don't feel good, and they feel like a much more important part of the game than KOTOR, for example. Where KOTOR, you can forgive some of the combat because the variety feels somewhat meaningful and it's not as front and center. Bioshock, the combat is more front and center, and so its flaws are a lot more obvious. But it is just phenomenal story-wise. And again, none of these games are bad. Very good. Bioshock is still, if I were to grade it on like an objective, it'd be like an 8.5 out of 10 for me. 8.5. You know, it's like, it's a phenomenal game. We'll say very good, but flawed. Okay. That was maybe a warm take. This one may not be a hot take. Okay, well, actually, I'm gonna let you guys decide what I do next year. Peak. Yeah. It's a great game. It's a great party game. Played it 3 or 4 times. Once you do it, you've done it. It's probably going to be one of those games that they probably continually update and do better, but it's fine. Friend slop, exactly. It does exactly what it aims to do. I literally had my sister over here. I don't know why I said it in that way, but my sister was over here, and I literally was pulling up some of my earlier runs, and she was dying laughing. Some YouTube videos of me playing with Stefano or whatever, Loof's in chat. The trumpet game, right? She thought that was hilarious. It's just great. It lends itself to some really goofy and funny moments. Yeah. So it's great. It's not intended to be anything more than that, but also like I just can't put Peak on the same level as Sekiro for me anyway. That was really fun. Basically, every time I've played Peak, there's been a funny story to share. Right. It's just it is what it is. But they did a good job with it. When I say major issues, maybe I shouldn't. I think I'm gonna remove these monikers because they don't apply to all games, right? Like, I think Peak has like major issues. It just doesn't try to accomplish as much, you know? And there's a couple of games I think that I'm gonna put in amazing that are not really flawed. They just don't aim to do as much. I'm not putting games, yeah, I would put AoE 2 at S, yeah, but I'm not doing like Roller Coaster Tycoon or AoE 2. I'm something like I've done the last couple of years. All right, what do I do next? Yeah, we can do Portal. Let's just stump to Portal. I'm just going to set Portal 2 in amazing. My biggest complaint with Portal 2, the only reason why it's not excellent is there's just not as much to it. It's an older game, but that's really my only complaint. I don't even think that's really a problem with the game. I mean, I don't want Portal 2 to be longer. It's just not Sekiro. You know what I'm saying? Like it's amazing. The story is great. The gameplay is interesting. If you're not a puzzle person, it may not be your cup of tea, but I'm not really a puzzle person either. I know that may surprise some of you guys, but I get bored with that kind of stuff. And I was very easy able to tolerate it because I think the puzzle design was like fine. No real complaints. But the reason why I liked Portal is the story / the voice, the characters. Like the robot guy's obnoxious, but what the frick her name is freaking just amazing. I love her to death. And, Ray Johnson here. What is his name?
When life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Make life take the lemons back. Get mad. I don't want your damn lemons. What am I supposed to do with these?
Take the lemons.
Yeah, he got a bunch of lie. You know, he's freaking hilarious. And again, it's the same thing as Bioshock with that 1950s old school. That aesthetic, it's just so much fun. So funny. It's very atmospheric. Soundtrack's pretty good too. J.K. Simmons' character, yeah. It's just great. Yeah, it's great. Hogwarts Legacy? I put down the bottom. Again, 6 out of 10. 6.5 out of 10. Not a bad game. Just extremely top heavy. Extremely top heavy. As in, I actually thought the soundtrack was great. I was shocked at how John Williams-esque they made the soundtrack with a lot of different composers. And I've ended up really enjoying 4, 5, 6 of the songs, and a bunch of other ones I thought did great. I thought the soundtrack was amazing for this game, especially for a freaking video game. They did a great job. Hogwarts itself is also really quite good. It's not perfect. There's a lot of wasted space, but it's freaking massive. The castle itself is huge. It's by far the best part. Yeah, the freaking castle is amazing. I think they did a really, like, not perfect. I think they could have done a lot more with it, but they did a good job with it. And the soundtrack also amazing. I think Hogsmeade was okay. I don't know, like there basic, and the combat wasn't bad. There was like one storyline, I won't spoil it. You guys probably know this storyline if you've played it that I'm talking about, that I thought was pretty good. Definitely had some was thoughtful, you know. But yeah, the combat could have been a lot worse. I was fully expecting it to be a lot worse. That's like the best compliment I can give it. It was like tolerable. The whole aesthetic of the game felt pretty cool here. All right, now let's get to the bad. I've never played a Ubisoft game except for one on this list, and I was like, oh, so this is what Ubisoft feels like. It's just grindy. You just checking things off a list. You're doing the same thing 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, like it just continues. You do the same thing. If you look really carefully, even the new, really pretty environments start to feel a little bit like, wait a second, this is a recycled fill in the blank. You just start, I remember catching myself at one point in Hogwarts Legacy very late in the game. I already completed the game. And I'm like, wait a second, what am I doing? Why am I completing this? Why am I going for a completionist with this? And I just stopped because I wasn't having fun. And there's a lot of that in this game. A lot of systems. Like I'm not just talking about like quest systems. I'm talking about exploration. I'm talking about items. I'm talking about everything. Like every system in this game has the potential to be a bit of a grind. Now, I'm not saying anything like it ain't MMO. It ain't an MMO, right? But at least with an MMO, you have a reason for the grind. For this, there's really no reason for the vast majority of the grind, and it really feels bad. Here's what I would say. If you are a Harry Potter fan, you should play this game. Absolutely play this game. However, stick with the main story, stick with the quests. I'm not saying stick with the main storyline. You can do all the quests. Have fun with the quests. Stick with the quests. Explore Hogwarts obsessively. Explore Hogsmeade obsessively. And then do the bare minimum for everything outside of that. That would be my recommendation. You'll probably save like 20 freaking hours and have a great time. Yeah, I'm pretty completionist with most of my games. I've pretty much completionist basically all of these games on here. It's very bare outside of Hogwarts Legacy. Yep, exactly. Battlefront 2. Okay, I'm going to be honest. I only played several hours of this game, but no. It's probably a game that you just have to sink your teeth into a little bit more, but I feel like the more that you would sink your teeth in, the more you'd realize that it's just an inferior shooter game. I did not play enough of the campaign to give you an opinion, so I'm going to give you... Honestly, I don't feel like I have a fully educated opinion on this, but I'm just so spoiled with the shooter games that I've played that I've just so immediately noticed the problems with it. The only reason to play Star Wars Battlefront 2 is because it's Star Wars. The only reason. Here's what I would say about this game. This is a game where you need to go to YouTube and watch highlights and then go, wow, I want to play this game. And then you're going to take a sledgehammer and you're going to break every single one of your fingers so that you don't buy it. That's what you do with this game. It is literally just highlight reel material. It is not that great of a game. I would say this probably is a good game if you were to like invest a lot of time into it, but it'd probably be extremely frustrating along that line. So we'll move on. All right, what's next? Disco? Here? I mean, there's nothing really here to say here that we haven't already said. Good soundtrack, great story. Gameplay is kind of irrelevant. It's just clicking and talking and clicking and talking. Actually, I think I bump it ahead of Bioshock, honestly. Art style is nice. My criticism for Disco is, wait for it. Okay, actually, I'm gonna dance between the two because I'll put it at the bottom of amazing for right now. And here's why. Because its replayability is wildly overstated. I don't think it's reasonable to expect it to have a lot of high replayability because the writing is so incredibly high effort. I can't possibly imagine, but that is going to be a downside. You just don't really play this game again. Because even if you make completely different choices, you kind of end up with mostly the same. It's a great game, but it's just a really good story with some beautiful aesthetics, which means that it's phenomenal, but it's just not the greatest game I've ever played. Bro's trying to avoid getting canceled? About what? You're talking about the commie crap in this game? Bunch of communists, man. Thankfully, I was the superior moralist, so I obviously was able to... I didn't have any of those issues. Except for the one time when I failed a check and I called Kim something extremely racist. That was not my proudest moment. Kim is like one of my favorite characters, I think, in gaming history, dude. I freaking love Kim. But yeah, the story is great. I have zero complaints with this game. It's the same thing with Portal 2. Like, there is no real complaint I have with this game, which is why I think it deserves to be over Bioshock. It just does exactly what it sets out to do, and it does it very well. Saves come not to be racist. Basically, yeah. There's also, okay, this is more of a minor nitpick, but it is worth pointing out. I'm sorry, the end of day 2, not having $15 means I literally can't complete the game is crazy. That's crazy to me. You know what I had to do, chat? I had to go to that. I'm going to give a spoiler here, so you might want to plug your ears for the next 2 minutes if you haven't played this game. It's really not a big spoiler, just a heads up. It's like basically nothing. I had to go to that crate with the billionaire and do a 3% roll, because there's no way increasing that roll, for 45 minutes! And I had that freaking refresh thing on pat. I was listening to music. I was like, refresh. 45 minutes to open that door so I could get money so I could go to sleep. There was no money. Because everybody was already asleep. And I had not saved, and like, I would have literally had to gone back 3 or 4 hours in gameplay. No, Joyce was gone, bro. Joyce was freaking gone. Everyone's like, just ask Joyce. She didn't have the option anymore. It's gone. And the worst part about it, the quick save option, which I was stupid. The quick save option, I think you can only have one quick save. I don't know. All I know is I was spamming quick saves. But the problem was that my actual last save was so far before that I couldn't go back to a time where I could ask people for money. So yeah, I was like, come on, man. There has to be some way of working around this. Punish me, sure, but don't make me restart the game. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. All right, this one might be one of the spicier takes here. Let me explain. It has aged not so well. Story, it's fine. There are some genuinely phenomenal moments in this game, but the gameplay is really tough. The story and voice acting in the first 7, 8, 9, 10 hours of the game is really not good. It's not professionally done at all, to the point where it literally shattered my immersion. That freaking lady in the start of the game is obnoxious. Completely broke my immersion. It sounded like she was being recorded through a tape recorder. It was the worst voice acting and the worst voice recording and voice direction that I had seen in a AAA game ever. There were aspects of the game that were grindy, that really didn't need to be grindy. And then even the whole open world aspect of the game, which had some really good moments, was really compressed in one specific aspect that it didn't need to be. And that was being bad sucked. Being bad sucked. I wanted to be bad just for the difference of something different. And I realized about an hour after being really bad and just, I remember I was playing poker or something and I lost, and so I shot everybody. Well, I realized really darn quickly, I'm like, oh man, I had a firefight and I barely lived and I'm wanted, Well, okay, so basically if you do that, the rest of the game is misery. There is not a single moment in time where you are not fighting for your life. And I was like, so I literally had to go back and undo everything to spend like another hour or two to not be a bad guy anymore, because I couldn't play the game. So the whole concept of like, hey, you could be a bad guy, but it's gonna suck, like really suck. It's like, well, dude, then I'm just gonna be a good guy, I guess. So I think that was a huge missed opportunity. It doesn't fit the story at all, which obviously is true, but they really punish you. They make it miserable to play the game as a bad guy. So you just end up being a good guy and playing the game the way that you're supposed to be. And there's a lot of other things that got really repetitive about the game as well. I won't spoil too many of them, but some of the farming aspects were just not really worth your time. I think there are aspects of the game which I really liked. I think story moments were really good. Obviously, going into Mexico, that's the moment everyone talks about. It was just great. There's some genuinely pretty cool moments. Story develops okay. I really liked going back to America and going north. I won't spoil, but that area is beautiful. Like really, really pretty. Going up there and hunting animals up there was really fun. I did play a part of the Undead Nightmares DLC, but at that point I'd kind of been burnt out. I'd been very completionist with the base game. Like I'd put in, I don't know how many hours, like 60, 70 hours in the base game and finished it. And at that point I was really bored of the gameplay loop. Like the flaws were getting to be pretty tough. Yeah. So the way that I look at Red Dead Redemption is I have a lot of respect for this game, more so than probably any of the games below it. There's probably gonna be one more game that fits that parameter as well. But I wouldn't recommend it to play. Yeah, the ending was obviously very sad. I had the ending spoiled for me a lot earlier. But yeah. All right, what's next? Somebody keeps saying Rivals. I'll put it here. Yeah, I'll put it above Peak because I put it above Peak. The reason why it doesn't get higher for me is because of how it lures you into a mindset where this is a competitive game. That's why it's not higher. I would still log into Rivals and enjoy playing Winter Soldier, a little bit of Mantis here and there, Magic. I'm sure some of the new characters are fun as well, but it cannot beat this. It's just a facade, and that for me personally really bothers me. It just baits you and then kicks you right in the cheeks because you're like, this. It just feels too much like a competitive game, and then just absolutely is not. It's just very inconsistent with how it plays itself. So for somebody else, it's not going to bother them. For me, I can't. I've seen the Emperor stark naked, butt cheeks hanging out, walking down Main Street, and I can't unsee it now. So that's just where it is for me. Gosh darn, this is going to be freaking impossible. Yeah, I just love the story a lot. It's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but it was just very poetic. It's really strong. Combat was okay. It was decent. It tried to do a lot more. It wasn't amazing at it, but it was decent. And there were moments with the combat where genuinely it was really fun. So it wasn't always great, but when it was great, it was pretty good. Yeah, I played it at hard difficulty. I felt like the other thing with God of War as well is that it felt like it earned its completionism a little bit because I enjoyed the gameplay loop more so than I had with some of the other completionist things. And also, there were like so many little tidbits of conversation that came up. They did a good job of rewarding you for kind of taking your time, which I thought was pretty good. It has its flaws, of course. It doesn't try to be huge, but yeah. I also, like, referring to the combat, I am going to spoil one boss in God of War 1, 2018. 3, 2, 1. The final Valkyrie fight on hard, when she has all, was the most challenging boss fight that I have ever done in any game ever. By a good 30-40%. Just objectively. In terms of the amount of time. I beat pre-nerf Radon without shield, without bleed, without poise. I beat him with a normal standard dex build, whatever. It took me like 4 hours. Miserable. Could see Jack. Ishin Sword Saint. Perry. This fricker took me 6 hours to beat her. And it was great. It was really fun. I mean, it was definitely frustrating, but her moves were like, the problem why it was so hard is she had so many moves. It took you forever to learn her moveset, but it really wasn't. There was only like one move that was kind of unfair. It was great. I unironically, and it was optional, by the way, so don't let that turn you off. You don't have to beat this boss at all. It's literally, you have to go out of your way to do it. It just was really fun. I just had a great time playing her. Playing against her. You know, it was just great. I loved it. It's like maybe my favorite, not my favorite boss fight aesthetically, obviously. I think Sekiro or maybe even Elden Ring has moments there. But like, in terms of like the actual enjoyment, thrill of just the battle, God of War 2018, Final Valkyrie. Yeah. But God of War does just a great job. Good soundtrack too. Good soundtrack too. Okay. Let's just keep on the train here with Ragnarok. Ah, man. You know, I'm going to put it here because Ragnarok is the definition of trying to do a lot and not quite getting there. but also just doing a great job. Like, a lot of my complaints with Ragnarok is because it doesn't quite stick the landing. It does like a quadruple backflip and then kind of wobbles. You know what I'm saying? The ending just doesn't feel like Ragnarok. Like, again, I'm not going to try to spoil too much, but it's not... A couple of the characters feels like a little bit too much going on at the same time. We didn't really tie that thread all the way through. You know, there's just a lot of things that just don't quite feel right. But I'm dealing the negative out of the way first because I do think the combat in a lot of ways is a little bit better. I don't know. The writing is still really freaking good, man. The writing is still, like, there are some genuinely heartbreaking moments in that game. And, like, there's a lot of... the soundtrack is great. There's also a couple of story twists and turns there that completely floored me. That I was not expecting at all. Like, it didn't even feel like I was just like, it was like one of those twists where, like, Bioshock's twist, I was kind of expecting something. And maybe even KOTR. This one was like, huh? Wait, what? Yeah, Odin is great. Thor is great. Ymir, I mean, they're all good. It's more the DLC cast that I'm not quite so sold on. But if Ragnarok has a sin, it's from trying to do too much and not doing it all perfectly. But it does a lot really, really, really good. But I really did enjoy Ragnarok, and it has some beautiful soundtrack pieces, and it was just awesome. Now, keep in mind, I also played God of War first. So my bias goggles are like, woo, everything better about this game, not as good with this game with combat. So I bet if I went back and played, I'd probably bump up Ragnarok's boss design, because I'd probably see more flaws of the 2018 version. But yeah, I saw a lot of people being critical of Ragnarok as softening Thanos, which was like, Thanos, Freudian slip. I can't even remember his name. Why can't I remember his name? But like my point, I think it's a completely missed Kratos. It completely missed the point. Anyone that complains about God of War Ragnarok Kratos being softer is an idiot. Like, complete media illiteracy. It's like Kratos is wiser, more mature, and people are calling him softer. It's just crazy. Right. They're like, the men are not allowed, like, strong men are not allowed to show emotion or to mature or develop or communicate. Like, Kratos was a much better father in Ragnarok. Much better father and a much better leader. And they're like, oh, I got softer. It's like, dude, you're just stupid. You're just outing yourself right there. Okay, what's next, guys? What's next? What do you guys want to do next? Elden Ring. Yeah. Major flaws. Maybe the most flawed game in the Amazing Plus tier. But it does so much. It does so much. Like, you could probably combine the work and thought and effort put into, like, basically every game in Amazing tier, and it would probably be, like, up to par with Elden Ring. Like, the amount of effort and time and care that went into this game is just, like, it does so much. Yeah, this is going to be full spoilers for Elden Ring. It's been out for long enough. I think it's well received enough to where people kind of know it. It's an RPG. It's open world. It can be quite hard. There's more difficulty modifiers in terms of, like, the spirit summon systems, because I think Elden Ring was going to be their attempt at making their games accessible, but they didn't really compromise the Dark Souls side of it. They just made it easier for more people to get into it. My complaints would be its open world aspects can be a bit repetitive in terms of some of the dungeons and some of the bosses, but in terms of the world building in comparison to, like, let's say Hogwarts Legacy, every region is just beautifully designed. Like, nothing feels cookie cutter at all outside of some of the dungeons. And even then, those are still okay. It literally feels like this is a real land. Like, you moving around, you ever get this feeling where, like, the game is discouraging you from taking that route because you're not supposed to go that way. You're supposed to follow the main route and then you'll get there, you know? It's not really open world. Elden Ring, anytime that's the case, it feels like that's because of a shifting earth. Like, the only reason you can't get there right now is because there was an earthquake 924 years ago that shifted the earth. Like, it just feels like it's a real world. Like, if you could go anywhere you wanted to. And a lot of times, most of the times you can't. Like, you can actually see a place and go, I want to go there. And you're like, you can. It might take you a while to figure out how to get there, like real geography, but you can get there. I think its story has major flaws in its execution, but in the quality of what's there is like really hard to beat. It's massive, it's complex, it's interesting. It's just not very well told. So if it clicks with you, you're gonna love it. If it doesn't, you may or may not like it. But the good news is you don't have to necessarily click with it. You just get this feeling of immense age and importance. I think balance-wise, it's much better than it used to be. They've actually balanced it since I've played it last, which is nice. But initially, it was just not good, not very well balanced for sure, but not unplayably. Boss design is pretty good. I think my major critique with Elden Ring would be, I think sometimes the combat can be a little bit roll slop, where you're not there's not as many windows, and so it's pretty easy to abuse things like the spirit summon system and not really engage with bosses much at all, or not engage with spirit summons and then not be able to use a lot of your abilities sometimes. I think this game is great. It does a lot of things really, really good, but it does a lot of things really poorly because it tries to do too much. But if it clicks, it's gonna click really hard. And the thing with this Elden Ring is like, if it clicks, you could spend thousands upon thousands of hours in this game. More so than probably any game on this list. I mean, more so than Rivals, even though that's another PvP game. My criticism with Elden Ring is more along the lines that there's basically a solution for every problem that you may have in this game, with almost no exception. Like exploration, difficulty, quests, whatever. The problem with it is it has the same problem with Sekiro, but worse, where the solution is just not always easy. Like, you just have to Google stuff. And I definitely subtract points. Like, Elden Ring should be an excellent game, but the reason it's not is because it just doesn't, it is the FromSoft problem of it just doesn't explain itself. It's a wiki game. The tutorial barely even checks the basic initial box. You have no idea what half the systems do. You don't know where you're supposed to go. And they do a pretty good job in terms of like the world design and making it easy, but this questing is terrible. The combat's confusing. It's just too much, right? So it's too much because it does too much. So that's not really a real criticism. But I guess the reason why it's not excellent is you're not going to be able to go in and eventually it isn't. It's just a lot. But yeah, I think if you haven't tried Elden Ring and you are a quote unquote gamer, you're doing yourself a disservice. It is something else. That's all I'll say. It really is something else. I would recommend trying it without a walkthrough for a while, but if you get frustrated, don't feel guilty about it. What do you guys want to do next? We got 4 more here. Shadow of Mordor. It was cool. It's a gimmick. Shadow of Mordor is a gimmick played to exhaustion. Wouldn't it be cool if, and the answer is, yeah, kind of. Yeah, it's kind of cool. And then that's the game. That's the game. Story-wise, especially considering the source material, it demands a lot more gravitas that it just does not bring to the table. Combat-wise, gameplay loop, it's fine. If you like Lord of the Rings, if the Nemesis system attracts you, give it a shot. But there is nothing spectacular hiding behind the curtain once you get in. What you see is what you get, and a lot more of it. They patented the Nemesis system. It's an interesting system. It's just the entire game is built off of the Nemesis system. It's literally just a Nemesis system. And even if you lean really hard into it, which I really tried, so it's all right. All right, what are we doing next? Ezio? All right, I'll listen to YouTube chat for once. Bad news. It just aged terribly. Grindy. Combat is hilariously bad. Like, hilariously bad. I even looked up guides on it, and I was like, wait, that's it? Surely that... Oh, okay. It's in the Red Dead Redemption 1 category of... It was, from my understanding, a big deal for the time. And so I, again, want to give it respect because of what it did for the genre, but it's just not a great game, guys. It did a lot for the genre, so we need to be grateful for it. And in that, maybe it's a Hall of Fame game because of what it did. A lot of the parkour and stuff was pretty okay, but it just isn't a good game, in my opinion. It just felt terrible. And I have an even spicier take on this regard. All right, 2 things. One, the soundtrack is the best part of the game. I actually really enjoy the soundtrack. It has a consistent theme that plays throughout, and they do a lot of different plays on it. It has a beautiful soundtrack. I really enjoyed the soundtrack of this game. Probably top 4 or 5 soundtrack on this list here. But here's my hot take. I think the story is kind of mid, or even below mid. At least in terms of this list, I would say it's poor in comparison to this list. Maybe compared to other games, it's pretty good. Maybe at the time it was pretty good. It's just not a good story. Main character is fine, but they're like, you get to fight the Pope. It's mid. It's mid. It's just not that great. It's epic without really the good storytelling or the good writing to back it up. It's fine. There's nothing good or bad about the story. And in comparison to everything else here, which if you look at most of these games have like S tier, A tier, B tier stories. Assassin's Creed, nah, it's mid. I wouldn't play it again. And I would not recommend this game again here. I think this is kind of the crucial thing and why it's near the bottom is because there are reasons to play some of these other games. I just don't see a reason for anybody to play Assassin's Creed 2 unless you're an Assassin's Creed fan. And I'm sure if you're an Assassin's Creed, somebody who wants to try Assassin's Creed, maybe a Kraken can help me. If you're brand new to this genre, what would be the first one that you'd recommend to people? And this is the one that I got recommended. And I was like, surely this is not where we should start. Surely this isn't it. Because it really, I was like, man, I don't want to play another Assassin's Creed game, man. So it's just a bit of a culture shock. You know, it feels old, really old. Where some of these games, even Bioshock feels old gameplay-wise, but you don't have to just engage in the gameplay. You know? Okay. All right, last 2, Deadlock or Nightreign. One of these is going to have a funny placement. Deadlock. All right, here's the funny placement for Deadlock. You guys ready for this one? There. Here are my thoughts in Deadlock. So I've played, don't know how many hours Deadlock. Not too many. 6, 9, 10, 12, 4, 5, a decent amount. Deadlock, I think, has the potential to be a massive disappointment or maybe the game of the year. I haven't played enough, and it's also still in development. It needs to come out first. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's, for those of you guys who don't know, it's literally not even out. I mean, it's not even like in a proper beta. Biggest things that click with me with Deadlock are its complexity, which it's unashamedly complex, which I think is great. Obviously, Valve is a good track record, right? And I also think in terms of class/hero design, aesthetics, voice lines, abilities, and so on, there's a lot to give credit for. There's a lot of potential in this game. A lot of potential in this game. So much so that, like, I'm not planning on pivoting to Deadlock. But if you said, you have to quit Overwatch, otherwise I'm going to blow up your house, what game are you going to go to? I'd go, first game that pops in my mind is probably Deadlock. Even though I've only played half a dozen hours. I'm like, I don't know if it's going to be, if I'm going to enjoy it that much. But it makes me wonder. Buckshot Roulette. I mean, Buckshot Roulette would be in the bottom. So we'll see. We will see. But the question is going to be the execution, right? The question is going to be the execution. PvP games are by definition controversial, so I'm not going to hold controversy against it. But is it going to be my type of thing? Because it is a MOBA. It is very much a MOBA. And that comes with a lot of baggage, both bad and good. A lot of farming, a lot of PvE, a lot of snowballing, a lot of things that are unique compared to the first-person shooter genre. For example, the element of like stealth and surprise is sometimes difficult. Like, for those of you guys who don't play, like, if the enemy sees you, like, you're on the mini, there's a freaking mini map. I've seen a lot of people are like, I wish Overwatch had a mini map. No. Overwatch does not need a mini map, but Deadlock has one, and that's just kind of par for the course. So, you know, I don't know how I feel about that. You know, it's kind of like there's certain aspects that are a lot easier than Overwatch, and there are certain aspects that are a lot harder. Why would Rivals not be the game to swap to as Overwatch was mouse? Because Deadlock, I believe, I have more confidence in its competitive integrity. And so therefore immediately interests me a lot more. That's insane, a Kraken. So I'm just not so sure if for me, it's less so about whether Deadlock's a competitive game and more so along the lines of, is it going to be the type of competitive game that I would, like, really enjoy? Its merit? Oh, that's funny. The real merit, not this Korean fraud. So we'll see. We'll see. Okay, last one. Oh, man. Yeah, I think that's where I put Nightreign. It's just really problematic. I think the vast majority of the reason why I like Nightreign is because, I like playing with friends. For those guys who don't know this, it's like the Elden Ring roguelike kind of baby. It's basically baby's first multiplayer for FromSoft. It's good. It's a terrible roguelike. It's fun because Elden Ring, which means weapon variety, fun bosses, build variety, which it already has, but it just isn't a good roguelike. There's just not enough variety in the maps and the bosses. It's very repetitive. They just released a hard mode, which is incredibly hard. Like, incredibly hard. Like, the best players in the game right now are really struggling with it. But it just didn't add a lot of variety. So I'm gonna keep playing this game, to be honest with you guys. I'm gonna keep playing this game. I enjoy this game. And out of the ones on this list, I'm not playing any of these games with friends. Like, literally, none of these are PvP games, right? At least for me. So I'm gonna keep playing it. And I'm looking forward to the DLC. And yeah, I basically, here's the thing with Nightreign. If you are not willing to experiment, you're going to get bored. I really like playing different classes. I force myself to try unmeta builds or weird strategies. And as long as I've done that, I've been able to keep the game fresh. But Stefano, Tetris, I don't know how he keeps enjoying this game. I think he's getting a little burned out because he plays the same class, the same character, the same way, basically the same time over and over and over again for the most part. And I think if that's the type of person you are, if you're not forcing variety, you're not gonna enjoy this game. So I think this game has potential, but it's really FromSoft flexing their wings on things that they just are really bad at. So the source material is really good. The balancing, they just did their first balance patch since its release recently. It's at least a month and a half, 2 months too late. And it was just half-baked. The patch itself was okay, but it just showcased a real lack of understanding of how to balance and create games and design heroes. But the source material is still good. It's still fun to play. And I put a lot of hours into it. But like Stefano says, I like it because I like my friends. Yeah, and there's a lot more replayability than, for me, than something like a Rivals or a Peak in terms of what we're doing. But if you like Rivals a lot, if you liked Deadlock a lot, you'd probably end up doing that more. So, yeah. Can you play with a steering wheel? Probably. Yeah, the meat of the combat. Right. So Elden Ring's combat's strong in terms of its variety. It's not strong in terms of its integrity. And they undercooked in the variety outside of the weapons, if that makes sense. So it's more of an experimental game, I think. Pretty clearly from the way that they've communicated about it, that it rather than a serious project. It's more along the lines of, let's see how this goes with PvP, with roguelike, with network coding, multiplayer. Like, FromSoft just doesn't do these things, and so I think they're trying it. So I've not played Hades. Yeah, there's a full list of games of things that I'd like to try, but these are just the ones that I'm missing. Okay. That's the list here. Obviously, there's no Overwatch, there's no Age of Empires 2, there's no Roller Coaster Tycoon. Some of those are basically impossible to place. But yeah, Baldur's Gate 3. Overwatch is like such a hard game for me to place. Honestly, Overwatch is like the most difficult game for me to place. God of War favorite weapon? Ooh, I can't remember all the weapons. What are all the weapons? Is it the lightning spear, the ice axe, the fire swords? I feel like I'm forgetting one. Axe, spear, blades. I like the axe the most, personally. I like the axe the most. The ice axe. I think that was my favorite. Which favorite game of all time? Man. I mean, it probably Overwatch, honestly. Probably Overwatch in terms of the one. Yeah. Obviously, there's like a sense of like, that's been my job for a while. But it'd be really hard to step away from Overwatch. Love Age of Empires 2. I don't play it basically at all, but I love following the pro scene. Roller Coaster Tycoon's great. Sekiro's great. All right, before we wrap this up, what are y'all's hot takes from the games on this list? Which ones did I get really wrong? I'm gonna get a little bit of water and we'll wrap this up. Which ones did I get wrong? Where's Overwatch? Well, we talked about it. Too much politics around Overwatch. It'd be too complicated. I'd be like, excellent. And some days, put Bioshock higher since I really like the gameplay a lot. Yeah, I mean, if I like the gameplay more than I did, it would definitely be an amazing game. I think Portal 2 West is Crane possibly, but I understand if that's a hot take. Good to know. I agree with that one. Either woke or lib. I don't know about turn-based. I mean, I haven't really felt like I've played a high-quality turn-based combat game, so I can't really say. Like, let's not pretend that KOTOR actually has good turn-based combat. It's like Dungeons and Dragons 2002, you know? The story in the game itself is good enough to carry it despite that, but I'd probably move back Elden Ring one. Maybe yeah, see, I forgot to place these in order. I might do this, actually. This would probably be my final ranking. Red Dead 1. It's Red Dead. I've not played Red Dead 2, although I have it, and it will probably be the next game that I play, because I think I play... So, see, I am the anti-average brain rot video gamer. I have played everything on my Steam list, with the exception of Journey and Red Dead 2. Actually, that's not true. I'm on observation duty. One of my friends bought me a bunch of those games, and she wanted me to play them on stream, but I haven't. But I didn't. I'm not really interested, and I haven't played them yet. But I've played everything on my Steam list. I've heard great things about Red Dead 2. I'm predicting Red Dead 2 to be in the amazing tier. I'm predicting Journey to be in very good. Sack Flame. I get that. I get that. All I'm going to say is salmon, brother. You get what I'm saying? Salmon. You'd put Elden Ring at very good at best. Yeah. I mean, I think some of these games, I think, are a lot more... I hate to use the word term objectively, but they're certainly a lot more volatile. I think Sekiro is volatile. Elden Ring, volatile. God of War Ragnarok, probably more volatile. KOTOR 2, more volatile. I mean, most of these games are going to be more volatile. I think Rivals is a pretty volatile game. Shadow Mordor, volatile. You know, not a lot of these play it safe. A lot of these games tend to take more risks, which is a good thing. We want that. It means that high highs, but because I mean, if it doesn't hit, it ain't gonna hit. Pong. I've played Pong many times before. I grew up playing Atari. That was like my only video game exposure. Favorite game cover here? AC2 is clean. KOTOR is also very eye-grabbing. That mask is eerie. This is fun. Yeah, this was fun. Thank you guys for hanging around.